Yo, what's going on, everybody? So, I wanted to hop on here and tell you guys the story of my crazy ass neighbor. I mean, this guy has done shit you wouldn't believe, but very quickly, I want to address the gameplay. So, yes, I've been playing a lot of Modern Warfare 2 because it's the best COD, obviously, ever created, but it's because I decided to randomly try and get a nuke in 2025. I was bored, and it turns out way harder than I anticipated. All the lobbies are either just like sweats, noob tubes, or aimbot quickscopers. I can't believe it, but in 2025, apparently there's still a market for Modern Warfare 2 quickscoping clips. So kids are just like using aimbot and trying to like effortlessly hit clips. Now, no, I'm not trash and just blaming it on aimbot, I swear. It's evident, like they're not even trying to hide it. So that's why I'm playing so much COD. I want to play other games in the future, expect that on this channel. Maybe Borderlands 4, shit like that. Anyways, my crazy ass neighbor. So basically, when this guy moved into the neighborhood, everybody knew almost immediately that something was wrong. He's very mentally ill, and it wasn't very long before we realized, like, oh, this guy's fucking crazy. He's like 50 years old, lives with his mom, basically just lives in the garage, does a lot of drugs. He's like 6 foot tall, super skinny, sunken in face, long, greasy, unwashed black hair, and just chain smokes cigarettes, drinks a ton of wine and doesn't ever really sleep. I mean, this guy will go out in the middle of the road at like 3 or 4 a.m. and just scream at the top of his lungs, or he'll grab his guitar and just play random songs and sing. And honestly, when he just plays the guitar, he's not the worst guitarist. But dear God, when he tries to sing, it's so bad, it's so creepy. It's just like this really weird, whiny scream. If you didn't know what was going on, you'd probably think an animal was being murdered. Also, you have to remember, this is at like 4 a.m. Besides this, his only other activities are basically sitting in the garage all day and all night, doing whatever, drinking, smoking, that type of shit, and then going around the neighborhood and saying horrible things to people. So, yeah, lovely neighbor. Everybody loves having him around. All the surrounding neighbors collectively hate him. Multiple have restraining orders. You know, the cops know him, the town knows him, bylaw knows him. This guy has called the cops to our neighborhood like hundreds of times. He's called them on me personally multiple times. The craziest one was I have this paintball gun that looks like pretty realistic. It looks like a real gun, but I just shoot it in my backyard. Like I said, I live in the country at like big pieces of wood or trees or whatever. Well, this guy snuck around the back of our property and like filmed me and like took photos and shit of me, and I had no idea. Went back to his house, called the cops, and said I was walking around the neighborhood with a fully automatic rifle and like somehow had shown them this photo of me, which is fucking crazy. But luckily, they knew exactly who he was and they did not take him seriously. They showed up with like no urgency. He's climbed up trees and like taken photos of neighborhood children. You have to pass his property to get to the bus stop, so all the kids will have to walk by his house to get to this bus stop. And he's climbed up the tree in his front yard and taken photos of them when they've like gone to school or come home. But the funniest part about this, I mean, that's not funny, but he's fallen out of this tree. I mean, the scenario of this creepy ass 50-year-old tweaker in his pajamas, just like up in a tree, taking photos, being like, these fucking kids, and then falling out of the tree, all the kids scattering, him face planting, just being like, ah, and then running back to his garage. I mean, that's a hilarious scenario to me. But obviously, yes, taking photos of children from trees is it's a pretty big deal. So he's gotten in some serious trouble for those incidents, and it's led to multiple neighbors, including the ones directly beside him, in both directions, getting restraining orders. This guy's been in the neighborhood so long. I mean, it dates back all the way to when I was in elementary school. I can recall going to this same bus stop and him following me down there. Like he would be tagging along behind me like he was coming to school as well. We'd pull up to the bus stop. All the other kids would be terrified. Just this zombie of a man pulling up with me, rambling about nonsense that you couldn't make sense of. I mean, he would literally look dead, so they'd all be scared, and I'd just be like, yeah, whatever. It's my neighbor Troy. I mean, no big deal. Multiple neighbors of mine have gotten in confrontations with him, and like he's been in a few physical altercations with some neighbors. The property directly behind mine is like a larger plot of land, and it has a couple houses on it, or like a barn and a house, and then a garage, like a shop. The guy who owns it will rent it out, and usually it's like groups of blue collar guys who work construction, do manual labor, that type of shit. They have bonfires and drink and then like work all the time, right? And there'll be like 3 or 4 of them. It's very common for that type of people to rent this area. Well, there was a group of guys like that there, and they were just like out at a bonfire one night. Now, granted, Troy would go over there all the time because when they first moved in, they were like, they probably thought he was kind of like funny. They knew he was insane. So they took a liking to him. Well, if you show any type of likeness towards this guy, he'll be like obsessed with you. He'll think you're like his best friend. So they made that crucial mistake. So he started coming around and like showing up to their bonfires and just walking onto their property to talk to them or like drink wine with them. Like he would drink wine, they would be crushing beers. But anyways, obviously it didn't take long before Troy like absolutely pissed them off or freaked them out, whatever he did. And one of them was drunk enough to grab him, throw him to the ground and like hit him a few times. And Troy just, full 50-year-old man, just sprinting, crying, scream crying, spazzing out, calling the cops, calling for his mom. Sometimes he's gotten in altercations and like scream cried for my dad because my dad is the only person in the neighborhood. He was a firefighter, so I think he has it built into him to like show some sympathy. I mean, my dad hates him and wishes he would leave, but multiple times my dad has like saved this guy. One time probably his life. So he's obsessed with my dad. He's like, he idolizes him. But also the craziest thing about it is the person he's probably tortured the most and like abused in this neighborhood is my dad as well. So when things happen to him, he just like scream cries my dad's name. It's the it's the funniest shit. Me and my mom make fun of it all the time because we're like, Troy loves you. He also can't leave the neighborhood. There's like a specific radius around his house where he feels comfortable, but once you pass that, he just has a full breakdown and blitzes home as fast as possible. I've seen him like try and test the limits. He'll walk down the road, you can start seeing him getting a little uncomfortable the further he goes, and eventually he hits a point like near the mailboxes where he's like, "Oh my god, what have I done?" And he like fucking sprints home. He freaks out and gets home and closes the garage and like has a whole episode because he walked 50 yards away from his driveway. But if you really want to get away from him, I mean, that's the best option. Just start walking down the road because eventually he'll hit a point where he hits an invisible wall. He'll dead stop and freak out and go home. It's like he's in an old video game, and he's going out of bounds. That's what it's like. He used to follow me to my friend's house and just try and have conversations. He'd follow behind me on his pedal bike, being like, "Oh, hey man, how's your day going? I was doing da-da-da," all that shit. But then I would hit a certain distance and I would just realize like, oh, he stopped talking. I'd turn around and he'd just be like in a full panic pedaling back to his house. He had dipped. Another crazy thing he does is he's cut the trees on our property before because my parents have worked tirelessly to build like a natural wall. They've gotten trees like cedars and blue spruce and let it mature over the years because he lives on a side road that can see into our backyard. So they've planted all these trees down that side of the property to let them grow up and kind of completely block him out because he has a habit of pressing himself against the fence and just watching us in the backyard. I mean, if we have guests over, there's like a pool. So if people are swimming, he'll watch that. He can go up into his house and go on the second floor. And he has these big like bay windows, I guess you would call them. And he'll just stand in them. I mean, it's so obvious. You can just see him standing in the dark up there, looking at us, looking down at us from his house, watching people swim for hours. When people come over, it like freaks them out. Me and my family kind of like make light of it, and we know like he's kind of a pussy. I mean, he wouldn't hurt a fly. He would probably just run away from it. But when guests come over, they're like concerned. They're like, "Yo, is your neighbor like gonna murder us?" So anyways, they've worked very hard at blocking him out as best as possible. But once these trees matured to a certain state, he took it upon himself to literally come over on our property in the middle of the night multiple times and cut like vantage points so he could still see in. Now, this happened when I was much younger, so I wasn't really aware of like the severity of that. But now that I'm older, looking back, I'm like, why didn't we do more about that? Like, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, he just has a habit of spying on us constantly and just watching people. And very evidently, like, he's not trying to hide that he's doing it all. When I say he's pressed against the fence, I mean a chain link fence, gripping with both hands, just like face pressed against it, wide-eyed watching. Crazy, man. So obviously all that shit sounds insane, but another thing he does that I think pisses people off the most is he goes around the neighborhood taking mental note of like who's doing what work on their property, whether it's building a deck, putting in a pool, putting up a fence, you name it. He's going to be calling the town, calling bylaw, everybody in the book to make sure like everything is up to code, all the qualifications have been met so they can proceed with the work. The people are going to have to come out, inspect it, approve it, just causing so many headaches, just a whole ordeal, and people lose their mind. I mean, my parents have had this like fence up for over 30 years. He's had the town come out here and claimed like the fence is actually on town property. The road isn't wide enough. The road is supposed to be where the fence is, and all this shit. And there was a moment there where the town almost was requesting that my parents like tear down the fence, move the garden. Our property line was going to be reduced. But eventually they decided like, fuck that. This guy's insane. Everything's been fine here forever, so we're not going to listen to him, thankfully. Now, these are just kind of like the minor things he's done. I mean, this guy is really crazy. He's done some really horrific shit, so I'm going to save that for part 2. This video will get way too long if I try and cram it all in. I mean, I could talk about this for days. I have so many stories. So if you're interested in that, look out for part 2. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Peace.